Welcome to my advice about using the Gaggia Classic for the first time. Turn the machine on. When the light comes on here, the boiler has got up to temperature, but you're better off waiting a little while until all these elements are nice and hot. If you want to speed that up, so usually you'd leave that for about 15-20 minutes. If you want to speed it up, wait till this light comes on, run some water through, just into an empty cup, which will start to heat up all the elements that little bit faster. Then just leave it for 3 or 4 minutes, and then you should be okay, because everything then should be nice and hot. Another thing with the Classic, make sure the 2 pipes are in the water tank, and should you ever hear a loud sort of the pump noise, pretty loud, and not much water is coming through the group head, sometimes the Classic can have develop an airlock, in which case just run the water, but open the steam wand at the same time. That then releases that airlock, and then turn your steam knob off, and then water should then start to flow freely through there. Other things to think about, maintenance. Remember that if you are descaling your Classic, which you should do, make sure the descaler goes in the water tank. And should you be back flushing your Gaggia Classic, whether it be an old one or a new one, remember to use a blind basket, back flushing disc, put your Calfizzer on there, obviously pop that into your portafilter, and then run the water through on and off several times to get all the elements clean inside there. So descaler in the water tank, Calfizzer, backflush solution or granules or tablets goes in the backflushing disc through there. A few other tips to do when using your Gaggia Classic is steaming. When steaming, obviously flick your button there for steaming. My advice is to just pop that tip of the wand about 3 to 5 millimeters below the top of the surface of the milk. And as that milk starts to stretch, then obviously to maintain that 3 to 5 millimeter basically in your milk, just obviously drop your jug down further and further until you've got the expansion that you want, that texture that you want, and then drop it nice and deep just to heat up that milk there. Other tips, really important, whenever you've steamed, okay, obviously purge your wand to get everything out, and then run some water. You may want to let it cool down first, but run some water through the group head. That way you are refilling the tank. When you steam, all the water that is inside that tank obviously starts to be used up for steaming, and the pump is not actually pumping water into the boiler any further. So if you steam, certainly for a long time, what you'll find out is that you'll have obviously less water in the water tank. So if you make a coffee next time without refilling the boiler, you're only refilling a fraction of water in the boiler. So you'll notice that it obviously heats up very quickly, but then when you start to make a coffee, you'll turn it on and that hot water will start to pour out, but then cold water will start to come into your boiler very quickly, and because it's obviously got too much cold water in there, it will cool down your shot very quickly. So whenever you steam, always refill your boiler. That can be done straight afterwards, or let it cool, or obviously just before when you turn on the machine again, when you're using it, run that water through. When it starts running pretty well through the group head, turn it off. You know then you've got a good full boiler, and you'll maintain that heat, the water temperature much better. Other tips as well, it's with a single boiler. When say if you've got lots of friends around and you're going to make 4, 5, 6 espressos or milky drinks, make all the espressos first, because then you just pour. So make all your espressos. Don't worry about them going cold. because the milk that you add will add the heat to it. And then, once you've made your espressos, get a nice big jug. I find I can do enough for about 3 cappuccinos or 2 lattes. So big jug of milk, and then steam that milk, and then obviously feed in your into your drinks. If you are finding that then you need to get you've only made, you're making 5 drinks and you've only got enough milk for 3. Again, remember, refill the boiler. Leave it a few minutes to heat up again on steam, and then start to do your steam again. So that really, really important. Whenever you steam, refill your boiler, whether that's steaming again or making a coffee again. Finally, just my last bit of advice is. So my last bit of advice is once you have done your steaming, certainly with the this one or the old one or the new one, when you've done your steam, make sure you turn the steam off. It's not a good idea to have your machine boiling water up there to about 140 degrees and leaving it there. Your machine will get too hot, but it will burn out the elements far quicker if you're just leaving that steam on for let's say half an hour, hours at a time. So after steaming, turn your steam button off. So therefore you're not going to overheat your classics. That's all from me.